Kung Fu Panda 2 continues the story of Po's journey as he fights Master Shen to try and save martial arts. That's the basics of what the story is about, but that's not what is most interesting. What fascinates me about this film is how parents are represented, and that is through the characters of Mr. Ping, Po's maternal parents, and Master Shen's parents. Each one tells a different story and asks the question, what does it mean to be a parent? Master Shen was someone that was destined for greatness. He was from a wealthy family that were royals, but his evil nature that was growing inside of him was a big concern for his parents. So much so they had to get a fortune-telling goat to see into Shen's future in order for them to understand what would happen to their son. And what they saw brought fear into their eyes, and that is what Master Shen's parents represent. They are scared of losing control over Shen, and because of that they panic in their decision to banish him from the family. A parent wants what is best for their children, they want them to grow up and live a fulfilling life. But in the case of Shen, he was thought to be such a lost cause that his parents gave up on him. Shen's hatred was a path that his parents did not deal with. Instead of showing Shen a new avenue that he could forge, away from his desire to use the new technology of fireworks as a weapon, they got the soothsayer goat to see what his future awaits. Shocked by the news, Shen immediately goes to change that path alone, believing this will bring his parents happiness. But his action further brings fear into his parents' eyes as they lose more control over his desires for evil. But because Shen was then forced out of his home, he could not move away from that path that the goat had foreseen. What he needed was his parents to be brave enough to admit their mistakes in not confiding with him about their fears on what he was doing. But their pride took over. Shen had to then deal with the hate he has on his own, and that is when thoughts like his can fester and become much more darker. We all understand that parents make mistakes, and the fear that Shen's parents had in losing control of their son is one that most parents can connect with, as they all want what is best for their children. And so, their story is about the fear of losing control of your child. What Po's maternal parents represent is that of a parent's sacrifice they make for their children. In the movie's case, it is to an extreme level, and at one point we would have said only in fiction do we see such a sacrifice. To leave your child's side because it is much safer for them to be without you. That is the sacrifice that Po's parents make in order to keep him alive. The rampant Shen was on a killing massacre of all pandas because of his fear that one of them would rise up and defeat him.
I foretold that someone would stand in his way, a panda.
So he marched onto the panda village to take them all out. Po's dad is the one that allows Po's mum to make the escape, and once in a safer place, Po's mum makes the ultimate sacrifice, and this is to give herself up to Shen, meaning that they won't find Po. It is a heartbreaking choice to decide on because of course the parents want to be with their child. They are the most important people in Po's life. However, it is a cruel world we live in, and not only do we see the actions of Po's parents in fiction, but we see it in real life. Real parents in the real world sacrificing themselves in order to save their real children, as seen with what is happening to the people of Palestine and through harsh immigration policies. And that is on the extreme spectrum to a parent's sacrifice, but there are other ways as well. Parents that do not eat because they do not have enough for them and their children. Parents that travel to different countries because they want a better life for them. Parents that no longer follow their dreams as their child's dreams are what all that matters. Our parents make big sacrifices that we can all see and appreciate, but they also make those small ones that maybe we don't recognize at first, but the older we get and when we have our own children, then we understand even more. Po's parents made a sacrifice that is heartbreaking, but is a sacrifice that most parents would make if they were in that position. And it's beautiful and so sad to see what a parent's love for their child can do. But they do it because it isn't about them, it's about their baby Po, and no matter what situation they were going to be in, Po was always going to be worth the sacrifice. And then we get to the goose. Mr. Ping is a noodle restaurant manager and the chef. He works there every day and provides the town with his delicious food. With that hectic life he has, Mr. Ping in his spare time, even when he had no time, looked after a panda that was not his, not related to him in any way, shape or form. Because all he saw was a child that needed love, and if he knew what baby Po went through to get there, Mr. Ping would still provide the same amount of love because what he gave Po was an endless well of affection that came straight from his heart. I think we can all agree, and I understand that this is a case by case feeling, but we all understand that parents give everything to see their child grow up happy, that they foster a loving home in which their child can thrive and be the best version of themselves. And that is what Mr. Ping provided to Po. He sheltered his child when he had no one else, and not only did he feed, bathe and teach this child everything that the now adult Po understands, he did this all alone. Essentially an only parent who might have never wanted a child bringing up someone else's. It's a subtle plot line within Kung Fu Panda 2, but one that plays a huge part within the story because throughout the film, Po becomes further away from Mr. Ping, physically by travelling to a faraway place, and emotionally, to the point he couldn't even acknowledge Mr. Ping as his father.
You're my son. Right?
Po, it's time.
Goodbye.
And at that point, Mr. Ping could have had an emotional meltdown. The child you saved from essential death and raised as your own can't even look you in the eyes as he says goodbye. But that isn't who he is. Mr. Ping is loving and caring, and all he wants is for Po to be safe because to him, he will always be the child that was left in a box. A testament to how he raised Po is the fact that through his loving nature to him, Po became the Dragon Warrior. And there is no doubt that if Mr. Ping wasn't the one who found Po, then there wouldn't even be a Po. And that is why he represents a parent's unconditional love. I'm no parent, but I've seen people around me have their own kids and understand what that means to them. How their life has changed because it is no longer about them. They do everything for their children, and even though I don't have any, I've been a child and have grown up understanding my parents' unconditional love and sacrifice they've made for me and my brothers. And that's what Kung Fu Panda 2 means to me. All three parents have a different story to tell, each telling us what parenthood is to them. And so, I asked the question to those who have children watching this video. What does it mean to be a parent?